across the narrow sea, my friends, and welcome to my Game of Thrones Episode 4, Book of the Stranger episode review. And we start this episode big with something very unexpected, at least to me. And we get Jon Snow still at the wall randomly because I thought he had left. And the first thing we see is Longclaw, which is right here. And I'm going to do the episode review with it. Jon Snow is with Ed discussing how they're going to handle Ed being the Lord Commander. Ed is trying to keep Jon Snow at the wall, being the Lord Commander, but Jon Snow is firm on going away, going south, going to get warm. But then, who arrives at the wall but Brienne, Podrick Payne, and of course, Sansa Stark. And we have this very sweet moment where two brothers, two long-lost brothers, finally meet after so many years and they embrace. And I thought this scene was played really well. It's one of those things that you never saw Jon Snow and Sansa simply talking or hanging out or getting along, but they are still family, and you can see that by these actors' phenomenal portrayal of their characters. Then we go into Runestone, where this little fucker is training his bow and arrow skills, and Lord Royce is keeping vigil over him. Then finally, after 4 episodes, we get Littlefinger. He arrives alone and Lord Royce confronts him about not having Sansa Stark, her being kidnapped, being married to a Bolton, and then simply disappearing. Of course, Littlefinger uses his little trickery with words and tries to convince Lord Robin that Lord Royce is the one responsible for Sansa's kidnapping and marriage to Ramsay Bolton. And you can see this scene when Lord Royce is getting really nervous. He knows that Littlefinger is convincing Lord Robin, but then the little kid just again hears the words of Littlefinger and says, "Let's just save Sansa. She's my cousin, so she deserves it." And I still hate this guy. But again, he's doing a fine job as an actor. His job is truly to annoy us. So, good job there, kid. Then we get a big scene in Marine where Grey Worm, Missandei, and of course Tyrion, who has his way with words, are having a meeting with the Masters of Slavers Bay. They are discussing the terms of having freedom for everyone and abolishing slavery, but they don't want to do it. So Tyrion tells them that freedom is good. He explains why it is good. He's trying to serve their interests, and he tells them that they will have 7 years to abolish slavery. Of course, after that, they go to the throne room and they are confronted by former slaves. They tell Missandei and Grey Worm, who will sympathize with their situations because they have been there before as well, that they shouldn't forgive the masters, they shouldn't negotiate with them, they shouldn't trust them. And Missandei and Grey Worm explain they don't trust them, but they understand how this is good and they can't do anything else than propose the 7 years of abolishing slavery. Of course, Missandei then has a line that creates a great parallel with every scene from Tyrion Lannister so far this season. She tells the former slaves that once a wise man said we should make peace with our enemies, not our friends. And this was something, of course, that Tyrion told the Masters of Slavers Bay. After that, Missandei and Grey Worm confront Tyrion, telling him the Masters will betray him, he shouldn't trust them, he should be careful, and they will keep vigilant over the Masters. I thought this was a great scene, longer than the ones we've been having from Tyrion, and we really are connecting these characters even more than we have so far. We finally have Grey Worm and Missandei putting their foot down and confronting Tyrion about stuff that he might not know as well as they do. Things he might not understand really because he's from Westeros. It would be normal if he didn't understand the way things work in Marine and in the eastern regions. And they tell him the truth face to face. And I thought this worked well to strengthen these characters towards Tyrion Lannister. Then we get a scene in King's Landing where Marjorie comes out of her cell and she faces Jonathan Pryce's High Sparrow. He tells her a little story about when he was a kid, before he was the High Sparrow, before he became a believer in the faith. And I thought it was a great story, and it creates a great metaphor for what Marjorie is going through right now. I'm not sure the High Sparrow really is that vengeful, let's say, on her, because it gave me the impression that the High Sparrow will forgive her or arrange something with Marjorie so that she can go away freely and maybe take Cersei down. Maybe that's a plan. I don't know. I have my suspicions. Last week's scene with Jonathan Pryce and the kid who plays Tommen, and this scene this week with Natalie Dormer and Jonathan Pryce, you can just see the top-notch acting in this episode. I mean, it is no comparison. And if you want to compare, you can go to the scene that comes after this one where Cersei is talking to Tommen and he tells his mother about the conversation he had with a High Sparrow last week. Their kid is still a pretty bad actor. Belina Hedy pulls this scene forward. They have a good conversation about the plan. She tells no, we will not forgive him. We will take this man down. We are Lannisters. They go into the small council and Cersei confronts her Uncle Kevin, who I did not recognize last week because it was a different actor. I apologize. And she tells Uncle Kevin about his son, the one that he lost to the Faith. He wants to get him back as well, so they're going to hatch a plan to take down the High Sparrow and his Faith militant. Then we get a scene with Theon Greyjoy going to the Iron Islands, and I didn't see him catch a boat, but wherever. He confronts his sister, he asks for forgiveness, and he tells her, you should rule the Iron Islands, I shouldn't, but I want to help you. And my question during this whole segment was, where is Euron Greyjoy? Where is he? He killed the king of the Iron Islands, if you want to call him that, and he's nowhere to be found? If he's not going to do anything, why did he do that? It just bothered me, you know? We go back to the wall and we have Brienne confronting Davos Seaworth and Melisandre about Stannis and his death on the battlefield. She tells them she was with Renly when he was assassinated, and you can just see Melisandre's face right here, and these were like two cats about to go at each other, but you can clearly see Melisandre doesn't want anything to do with Brienne. Brienne has no qualms about having killed Stannis, about wanting revenge, and she tells to Melisandre's face that although this is in the past, she does not forget and she does not forgive. I'm just thinking that until the end of the season, at least, every scene we have with Ramsay Bolton will be to make us hate him even more, and we don't need to, but we have Asha trying to seduce him, to distract him, trying to grab a knife to kill him, but Ramsay Bolton has heard of her, and he stabs her on the neck. He kills Osha. Are you fucking kidding me? Well, I guess the theory that came out last week about the Umbers having a plan with Rickon Stark and Osha to kill Ramsay Bolton, not true. But if it is, you kinda fucked up there, didn't you? Oh my god, I hate Ramsay Bolton. After this, again, we go to the wall and Jon Snow receives a letter from Ramsay Bolton telling him to bring his sister back to Winterfell because she's his wife. But he tells Jon Snow on the letter how he's going to rape her and let his men rape her, then maybe let the dogs rape her. He tells all these horrific things. He tells Rickon is in his dungeon, and Jon Snow doesn't want Sansa to read the letter, but she grabs it and reads it anyway. Well, we got a bonus this week, apparently. We got two scenes to make us hate Ramsay Snow even more. The scene was well played and all, but God, just kill Ramsay Snow! Bolton, whatever. Finally, we go to Vaes Dothrak, and I decided to put all these scenes together at the last bit of this review because I thought they worked well as one. We have Daario and Jorah coming in to Vaes Dothrak, sneakily killing a Dothraki here and there. We see how the Dothraki live, their culture, and then they almost free Daenerys, who is walking with the former Khaleesi herself, and together they hatch a plan to escape. Daenerys comes in, she confronts the Khals about the plan she had with Khal Drogo, about how he told her he would cross a narrow sea and conquer the West, conquer every man in iron and their stone houses. He would conquer the seas with his stallion, and their stallion, their supposed son, would conquer the world. Of course, they laugh at her, saying that didn't happen, he died, he was weak, and she's weak, she's nothing. And then she tells them, you only ride small horses, you only discuss about which little girls you're going to fuck, which little village you're going to burn next, and they are small men. They are not leaders, they're followers, and they should serve her. Again, they laugh at it and they tell her that they're going to only discuss which one gets to fuck her first. Daenerys shrugs and she tells them, oh, okay, you're not going to serve, you're going to die. She throws the pyres down and the house they are in starts to burn. The cows try to escape but the door is locked and the guards at the door are dead. Every cow burns. Daenerys just looks at them with a grin on her face, savoring the taste of vengeance, and I was waiting for such a badass scene from Daenerys like this because I know what a badass she is in the books, and people watch the show don't know because her struggle from the books is not present in this show. Every Dothraki comes to the door seeing what's happening, and Daenerys comes out just like she did in the first season finale where she burned Khal Drogo in the pyre. She comes out. I can show you her part, so I'm going to show this shot from far away, and I'm going to transit into another shot in a few moments. But you see all the Dothraki kneeling before her. Daenerys just looks on and says, "Praise me, fuckers. I am your leader now." In comes Daario and Jorah, and they of course kneel as well. Daenerys looks on, and the shots, the lighting, the way the scene worked, the music, oh my god, the music in this scene. Mwah. It was a great parallel to the season 1 finale. I thought it was great, but now we see a much wider shot because the number of Dothraki kneeling before her now are an even greater number. I thought this was a great episode. The shots chosen here, as far as directing goes, is probably the best episode of Game of Thrones this season so far. It's not my favorite, maybe because not all the characters that show up in this episode speak to me as much as the characters that showed up last episode. A great episode nonetheless. This is going to be a great step forward to Daenerys and to her character and to her story arc. Tyrion had the greatest scene he could have today. Jon Snow and Sansa reuniting was a beautiful moment, although ended because Ramsay Bolton, I fucking hate you. And we got a little sneak peek at what Littlefinger is doing, which is also great always. But what did you think of tonight's episode of Game of Thrones, Book of the Stranger? Do you have any theories following the scenes that happened today? What are you expecting for the next episode? Is this your favorite episode of the season so far? Let me know all of that in the comments below. Let's discuss Game of Thrones. And as you're going to the comments down below to tell me what you thought, there's also a link to my Facebook and my Instagram in the description below. Go stalk me on the internet and click on the little subscribe button below the video box if you haven't yet, to get updated whenever I upload a video. And of course, there will be a link to my previous video right here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review of the 4th episode in the 6th season of Game of Thrones, Book of the Stranger. I can't wait to bring you another review next week. There's a link to my previous video right here, which is my Neighbors 2 Sorority Rising movie review. Of course, I'll see you guys in my X-Men Apocalypse spoiler-free review. Cheers.